How do you know that?
How do you know that?
How'd you know that?
Shock the nation, bud.
We're back live with Shock the Nation Pod on Twitch and Shock the Nation Podcast with Chad Marquardt and Jesse Bridwell.
Hey, what's up, man? So what do you want to hit today?
Well, shit, what should we hit, dude? We got so much stuff to hit. Why don't we talk about our man Robert Jr. coming in and what he's planning on doing and why that's such a big thing with all the food additives and stuff that we eat, which could possibly lead into, some of the drugs and stuff like that we take.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that believe that since we're in a capitalistic society, big pharma is a huge market. So if I can make you sick and go to the doctor more often and start taking prescription drugs, I believe that that's in the big pharma's market.
I agree. Hey, I got one request for you, though, Jesse. You got to get that microphone up to you, I think.
Oh, am I pretty low?
Yeah.
Better?
That's better.
Okay. Well, let me move some shit around here. Does that sound good?
It's better, but I would get that sucker right up to you.
Is that better?
That is where you want to be.
All right. Well, then I'll have to move up a little bit.
You don't have a thingy-jigger?
I do, but where I'm sitting, I don't have anything that I can push it up to me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
I thought you were used to like getting it up in there and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's my thing. I love it.
Oh, that's what I heard. That's what I heard. So, all right. So, once again, go back to what you were saying about this stuff.
Well, we're in a capitalist society. Big pharma is in the top 8 markets of our society. I believe they put additives and bullshit in our food in order to get us to go to the doctor more often, take more drugs. I mean, if you look at other countries, depression is the largest in America. Or America has the most depressed people. Okay? Health-wise, America is shit. But why is that? Well, you start looking into our food. There's yellow 20, red 40, all these preservatives. You look at Europe, they can come to America and vacation for a month. They gain a bunch of weight. They feel like shit. Then when they go back and start eating the food in their countries, they feel better.
Yes, I 100% agree. I know that Europe, as far as our exports for food, they are one of the lowest for exporters for our food, and that's pork, beef, chicken, all that. Mm-hmm. Our corn, our soybeans, they don't want our stuff. And it's not only like what you were saying, it is all the chemicals that we use for pesticides, yep. For fertilizing and all that stuff. And they don't want our food. So that's got to tell you something there, right? I mean, they stay away from our stuff. And back to what you were saying, as far as people from other countries that come here, when you want to lose weight in the United States, what's one of the biggest things that that people will tell you to cut? What should you not eat?
Well, in America, when people want to lose weight, they start taking pills like Ozempic.
I get it, but if you're just dieting, what's like the main thing? I'm just talking one thing.
Carbs.
Carbs, right? Carbs. That you always hear. I mean, you got to cut those carbs, and you're going to lose weight. Well, guess what? You go to France. They eat bread like crazy.
Yep.
You know, I mean, those European countries eat a lot of bread. I mean, a lot of bread. And they don't have the obesity that we have. But what they have is the grains and stuff. It's number one, they're not using the pesticides and the fertilizers like we do. Not to say that they don't use fertilizers and pesticides. They don't use what we use. And how they manufacture and deal with the grains and the wheat and stuff, they do it differently, and it's better for you. I mean, it's a better food. Like the pastas that they have in Italy, it is so like if you eat a pasta in the U.S. and you're someone from Italy and they're coming over here and they're looking to buy our pasta in our stores, the first thing that they're looking at is the color of the pasta. So the yellower the color of that pasta, the worse it is for you. Now that may not always be the case, but there is a, and I don't remember the name of the chemical, but it's really bad for you. It breaks down your cells at the cellular level. It's just really bad for you. And it's the temperature in which they produce the pasta. So the hotter the temperature, then this chemical thing happens to the pasta and it turns it more yellow. So when they're making their pasta over in Europe, they're doing it at a lower temperature. It takes a little longer. You know, they're not kicking out the volume that we do, right? I mean, they're not producing as much pasta, but it's a better pasta for you.
Well,
so, you know, you look at things like that. Look at what other countries eat and how they eat, and they're healthier than we are. It's not that they're eating less or they're eating better. They're eating things that are different. You know, it's not processed.
Most of the food that they buy, okay, is from local farmers out of market. Okay, so their tomatoes and everything were recently grown, not something that gets stored away for months at a time and shipped across country. You got to think how much preservatives are in the food just to keep it good to get to California from Iowa.
Right.
Okay, so if I eat chickens from my farm, I know that there's no fillers, preservatives. You know, for instance, some of the chicken in the store, they've got dye to make the meat look more pink and better looking, right? And then, for instance, your vegetables, pesticides, all that shit they spray on them, it can't be good for you. Cancer's the highest out of all the countries in America because of the pesticides and bullshit. McDonald's, they just had a whole video up about the potato farmers in Idaho and Washington, how they have to spray this certain chemical so the potatoes won't bruise, right? So if you look at McDonald's fries, there's no bruised fries. And it's pretty crazy when you see how much money they have to spend just to make that product look perfect.
Right. Well, and so I guess back to the chickens and stuff that you eat, I would say one thing that you probably left out, the reason why your chickens are better is because you're typically choking them a little bit before you eat them, right? I mean, that's
absolutely.
I mean, you're like you're the master chicken choker. I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know, but
Brian said, "How the hell do you know that?"
Well, I just know shit. I mean, it's just true. But all right, so let's not even go outside the U.S. and let's look at a group of people that have the least amount of issues, okay? And let's look at what they do, how they do it. And you've got to go nowhere farther than the Amish, right? The Amish, they don't have an obesity rate. They have very low cancer rate within the Amish community. Their doctor visits are very small. I mean, I'm sure they go if it's an emergency or something like that, but they're a healthy group of people, and they do things the old way, right? I mean, they can a lot of stuff. They butcher their animals and they can it. They cure it. They'll hang it and cure and have cured meats, and they do things different. They're not out buying processed foods. They're baking bread. They're doing all this stuff, and you can't tell me they're eating less and eating better food. With what science now says, oh, that's better food for you. You should eat this kind of things. They're not doing that. They're eating what they grow, what they make, and they're not going to the grocery store buying a bunch of crap. They're making their own food, and it's better food.
Well,
it's just better food.
In Europe too, if they're going to go out and get dinner, they go to the market that day, and they buy what they're going to eat that night.
Right. It's fresh food. It's fresh.
Yep. Whereas people here, they'll go to the grocery store, they'll buy 2 weeks worth of shit and throw it in their fridge. And how can that food possibly stay good for that long?
Because of all the preservatives that we put in the food to keep it, to have a longer shelf life, right? It's the preservatives. And, it's that kind of thing that is creating cancers and obesity, and it's not allowing the body to do what it wants to do. It's not allowing it to act right. And hey, look, not saying that I do things right. I don't. I need to change the way I eat too, right? But that's what we need to go back to. And our society makes it really hard to do. We want things now, gratification, instant gratification. That's what we want. We want to be able to come home from work, go into the freezer, pull out that frozen lasagna, put it in the oven. An hour later, hey, here we go. We're eating supper, right? That's what we want. That's our society. Other societies aren't like that. They make their own food. They eat it. And they don't calorie count what they're eating. They eat till they're full. They're done. Now, one thing that I will say that other places, they're better than we are is, again, this goes back to the instant gratification thing that I was talking about, but we drive everywhere. We want to get there now. We go. It's nothing for us to drive 40, 50 miles to go somewhere just because that's where we want to go, right? Other places, they walk everywhere. They walk to work. They walk to the grocery store. They walk here. They walk there. They take public transportation. But they're out. They're physically doing more things than what we do in this country.
Well, when we trained with the Brits, I told them that I drove like 30 hours from Iowa to JVLM to get to Post. They thought I was fucking nuts. They were like, you drove that far? Because in Britain, it's such a small country.
Right.
They don't like to drive more than a half hour. They think that's fucking crazy. And when I drove, I don't know, it might not be 30 hours, but it's pretty fucking close. They were like, did you bring rations? Like, we have fucking food, dude. Like, I can stop at a restaurant.
Stop at McDonald's and eat something, man. I mean, what the hell?
I thought that shit was crazy.
Right.
And when they found out, like, for instance, we had buddies that would drive 4 hours to go see family. They were like, you don't fly? Like, they fucking fly for 4 hours. They're not driving it.
But a lot of them don't. And I shouldn't generalize like that, but they don't all have 2 or 3 vehicles per household, or, they don't live the way we do. They live more simple. Houses over there in Europe, pretty small. I mean, they don't have big houses. They don't. I mean, unless you're rich person, they just don't. Here in America, we're spoiled, man. We've got big houses, we've got cars, a lot of roads. Just the road system in the United States amazes people who come over here. They're just amazed at how
Well,
many roads that we have.
places in like Europe, like we got 40 acres we live on. That's fucking nuts to them. They're like, how come you need all that? And it blows their mind. But there's just more to land, right? America's a huge country with only like 360 million people, whereas Britain, I don't remember how many people are there, but Texas is bigger than Britain.
Yeah, I watched this video, I think it was just last month, and it was rating the states in the United States to other countries, where they rank. And it is nuts. It is nuts how big the United States is. And like you said, people don't understand how big our country really is. It's
Well,
we're not the biggest, but we're pretty damn big.
well,
We're a
the
big country.
GDP of Texas is actually like 4 countries in Europe. Just the
Yeah.
GDP. So
Are you
Texas,
Texas or California? Is it Texas or
and
California? Yeah.
Texas's GDP, they got oil. You
Yeah.
got to think how much money they're making off just oil. But Texas, they were saying that it's not even the largest GDP of America, but it's got more GDP than 4 countries in Europe.
Right. Right. Yeah, we're a big country. We really are.
I think California's GDP is like 55 trillion or some shit like that.
Yeah, so isn't it like California, aren't they like the fourth largest GDP just themselves in the world?
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah.
They can't
So,
put out a fire, but they got the fourth largest.
well, it's the winds. It's the winds, Jesse, and don't let anybody tell you any different. It's the
How do
winds.
you not have water?
It's the winds. Well, the winds. It's the winds. And you should watch Bill Burr when he was on Jimmy Kimmel, and he can tell you that you're an idiot because it's the winds. So
I
I'm
may
going to
be
leave
an
it at
idiot,
that.
but at least I have water.
Yeah, but it's the winds. It's the winds, and we'll go with that. And who are we to judge? But yeah, so one of the things that I did see was it's the B40, right? Is that the red food coloring B40?
No, it's red 40.
Red 40. Okay. So it sounds like, is it a 2-year? The U.S. has been given 2 years to take that out of the food.
I don't know. I know RFK was pushing pretty hard to have food dyes, seed oils, and a bunch of shit taken
Yeah,
out.
I think I saw something that there was a mandate from the FDA that red food coloring needs to come out. And that thing has been known to cause cancer in mice, and it's nasty shit. And there's a lot of candies and sodas and stuff like that don't go over to Europe because it has that food coloring in it.
Yeah,
And and it's in everything, dude. It's in cereal, it's in candy, it's probably in cake. Anything that turns something red. Ketchup. I mean, think of that. It's probably in the freaking ketchup.
okay, but like for instance, Fruit Loops. They're all colored up here in America, but there's this British guy that I follow. He shows Fruit Loops in Britain. It looks like Cheerios.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fucking, there's no
Yep.
color.
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, it's nuts. So, they'll find something else to color that stuff because we're, again, instant gratification, we're visual, we like to see things different. They'll come up with something, a different way to figure that out. But, until they do that, our exports are crap, on our food. We just don't export much out. Things of that nature. And I don't even think legally you can buy that stuff. Like right now, I can get on Amazon, I can buy food from other countries. I can just, there it is. I type it in. I want that. I don't think they can do that. I think
No.
it literally is illegal to buy it.
No, in Europe, anything with those food colorings, preservatives, seed oils, you can't buy it.
Right, but it's okay here. You know what the hell's up with that? I mean that's just dumb.
Well,
Um,
like I said earlier, if you eat that shit and you get sick, diabetes, cancer, whatever, Big Pharma makes a fucking premium.
right. So then you got to go to the doctor. You take the medicine, and it's just a vicious circle. It just spins around, 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 and people are getting rich off the people who are sick.
Well, what
I
I
mean
love
that's what it is.
is they can find a vaccine for COVID in 6 months, but they can't find a cure for cancer over what? How many years? Hundreds of years? They can't find it.
Well, that's going to change as we talked about with AI. That's going to change, Jesse.
Yeah, I don't know about that. They'll program that out of it.
Yeah. So okay. So they're going to be working on the food stuff, hopefully. There's going to be a lot of pushback on that too, right? I mean, how much of that is really going to pass? How much of that do you think really is going to change within this administration?
I think you'd be surprised.
Okay.
I think all of it will change, and here's why. Those European countries could have made just as much money off of what we're doing, but they didn't. They shut it down. And why is that? Well, lower populations, and that's how you have a GDP in a country is the guys in the country working, women too, my bad, but the general populace working, buying shit, that grows your GDP. Okay. If you have less of a population, I don't want them sick. Right? And I want them to work efficiently. But
Right.
if you have 360 million people, I can sacrifice a few of them and make money off.
So, there another one that I heard that they're going to start working on is the fluoride in the water.
Yeah,
And I've heard some mixed reviews on this. I still believe fluoride in the water is not good for you.
no.
But then I've seen other studies saying the amount that's in there doesn't do anything. But I have a hard time believing that because that trace amount is measured at a certain level. We drink water every day. We're putting that in our mouth every day, drinking it. It's going into our body.
Okay, well, here's another problem with the water. Okay. And RFK brought this up. There's a lot of studies showing that if women take birth control, right? They end up urinating it out. And where does it go?
Yep, it goes in the sewer, and then it gets recycled back into your drink. And for those who don't know, we drink our wastewater. We're drinking our wastewater
Well,
because
not only that,
it leaches down into the drinking water.
not only that, but in uh, other countries, they've done this study a long time ago. Okay, wastewater doesn't get redistributed like we do it. They put it into the crops. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they did a study about testosterone in men in America versus testosterone in men in other countries. Right, we're significantly lower because we redistribute our wastewater, which has those chemicals from birth control.
So all right, how do you get around that? I mean, you're going to have to change the whole way that we do things. Is there a quick fix?
I mean, I'm not an engineer, but RFK had brought that up in a couple of his interviews. I think he's a smart guy. I think he can figure it out with the right people.
Well, I hope that I hope it doesn't screw a bunch of stuff up. Like, I hope you don't, you know,
Well, we're not gonna be like California and not have water for Christmas.
right. Well, that's what I'm getting at. But I mean, I hope the fix makes sense, right? I hope it's a smart fix and it makes sense. And I just don't see something like this is done in a year or two. This is going to have to be something, a plan set in place, and hopefully the next administration that comes in and they look at this and go, hey, this is good. We shouldn't mess with this. But only if it is good, right? I mean, it needs to be good. We need to figure out a way to make things better.
Well, I know in certain countries, like I said, they distribute the wastewater into the crops, and soil naturally filters water really
Right,
well.
right,
And
right.
and now they have rain collection centers in Europe. So they'll naturally get that water that's been filtered through the soil, and then they'll go through and filter it again and send it through the pipe.
Well, I hope it doesn't create a whole new issue, because I know that there was issues with, like whenever you hear these E. coli problems, right, where, Subway and all these other restaurants are pulling their spinach off the shelves because there's an E. coli outbreak. Usually how that happens is they're doing the same kind of thing, is they're taking the waste from a nearby farm and using that as fertilizer. Well, that farm had an E. coli outbreak and they didn't catch it. And then it gets on to, the vegetables that they're using to fertilize and do all that. And then now we eat it, it's out, so it's the same kind of thing, but, I hope that it doesn't open up a new can of worms.
Quit being a fucking pussy and just eat it. Get your immune system up.
Yeah. I like me a little E. coli on the side. I usually ask for it at restaurants. Hey, what's the E. coli of the day?
Yeah,
I'll take a side of that.
Grow up, Fuck, we don't need to have everything healthy.
No, but it would be nice.
Well,
it would
the
be
Amish,
nice not to have to
they
worry
collect their fucking waste and they put it in their plants. They put it over the fields. Yeah. They're not fucking dead.
Well, not yet.
Dude, they live longer on average than us by a fucking shit ton. Like the average man here dies when he's 65. An Amish person, the average age is 85 to 90. So I think we can take a little waste.
All right.
Thin the herd a little bit anyway. There's some fucking people, they need a warning sign for everything. Don't put your finger in the electric socket. No, fuck you. Put it in there. If you're dumb enough, let nature take its course.
Samantha, it is because of all the additives. And that's what we were talking about. It's all the stuff that's that we intake in us. And, it leaches out, right? We urinate, we excrement, all that stuff, and it gets out, and there you go. So, yeah, I tell you, we just got to be smarter, dude. And like you said, there's other countries, there's other societies like the Amish and stuff. They're doing it right. They're doing it the right way. And, but I just don't know how we get back to that kind of stuff. Brian Bridwell is close enough. Just eat it, which is a great story. Yeah, I threw a fit that night, and I was told just to eat something that I didn't order, and it was close enough. So I didn't do that.
Wow.
Just so you know.
Chad, when you hit that possum, it was fine.
It's fine.
Let it go.
It's fine. No. All right. So, what are some other issues on the old drugs and stuff?
Well, I find it funny that they pushed so hard against marijuana for any lack of. They said that there was all these problems with marijuana, but they can dope you up with oxy and all this other shit. that people get addicted to. And, there are natural remedies. I'm not one of those people that believes that there's a plant for everything. But I'd much rather have somebody that has cancer smoking a little green than taking all that radiation and bullshit in.
I agree. I agree. And speaking of the bullshit, bullshit, Jesse. But there is. I don't know. I might disagree with you on that. There's not a plant for everything because there very well could be.
There can, but there's some people that believe you don't need to take a shower because your body naturally.
Yeah, who is that doesn't take a shower? We talked about that. There's a famous person that hasn't showered in like forever.
Yeah, and then you get around those people. There's people around here that do that. They don't fucking shower, and you go around them, and you can smell them across the store, and they believe that there's so much shit in the water that'll it'll cause all these problems. That's fine. I'd rather you risk it.
What? You don't like to smell people?
Dude, there's one dude, he walked into the store and my dog even wanted to turn around. Yeah, it's bad when a dog's like, fuck that.
Have you so this happened to me. I worked with a guy once, and I literally smelled him, and it was a decent sized room. I smelled him before I saw him walk in the room.
Yeah.
It was that bad. It was that bad. And it wasn't that he didn't shower because his hair was wet. It's like,
grease.
Dude, use some soap. I mean, they sell it. Use it. Yeah. It was bad. It was so bad.
Imagine fornicating with that guy.
Oh, dude. I can't. I won't.
It's just a little extra grease, baby.
Oh, wow. And he had long hair, too. And just, yeah, and it was wet. I mean, it was like he showered. But he stunk. He stunk bad. Really bad.
Yeah, and back to Samantha's comment. Yeah, I believe there might be a plant to heal everything. But I'm not an expert. I just don't go to the doctor. Fuck it. If it hurts, I write it out.
Yeah. That's what I heard about you. You write it out.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit. So, we did this live stream a little bit ago just to test it out and make sure that everything was working right. We talked a little bit about, so there you go. So some people say that the deodorant causes cancer, but same people smoking cigarettes, drinking aluminum cans, eating canned vegetables. Yep, I agree. Aluminum, Alzheimer's, right? Linked to that. And yeah, and then the lining in the aluminum, the microplastics and stuff like that, things that we got to think about as well.
Dude, I think Samantha kind of pointed that out at me because I smoke cigarettes and I drink from aluminum. Damn, Samantha, put me on blast.
Yeah, you need to start drinking from glass bottles.
Glass bottles.
Yeah.
Glass bottles.
So you need to start the Banquet, Coors Banquet, Yeah, or some Miller High Life.
Nah, that shit sucks.
No, it's good, man. I'll tell you what sucks. So I had a Pabst Blue Ribbon for the first time in forever, and had one of those, and it was not good. Now I do know it did win the Blue Ribbon once, so it was the best beer.
Yeah, well, Clint Eastwood
at one point
disagreed with you.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
You're a hater.
I know. I'm kind of a hater. I'm kind of now I'm a Stone man, Keystone Light, and still like my Busch Light. So
okay, before we keep going on beer, You want to talk about some of the southern border stuff? Maybe we'll pop into that a little bit.
As far as what?
Well,
as far as the 1,000 terrorists that have come over, that kind of thing.
yeah, and they snuck those air-to-air missiles in.
Yeah. So again, and I'm getting this information from the Sean Ryan podcast and her this gal that's on there. She's ex-CIA that he's been having on, and also. She's going to be doing some sort of week or monthly newsletter through his podcast and give updates on what information she's gathering, intel, and I don't know how much what she releases is quote secretive or stuff that's just public knowledge that maybe people just don't know about. My guess is it's more that than anything that's secret. But yeah, supposedly, and my guess is it was in the last 4 years. Didn't really give a time frame, and maybe some of this happened under Trump administration too. But supposedly there was about 1,000 known terrorists that have snuck in, and they're waiting. And they don't believe that they're all centrally located together. They think they're spread out through the U.S. and ready to go. I mean, they're just kind of there, ready for their word to strike terror into this country and do things like that. Not only that, they believe that a couple surface-to-air missiles was snuck over as well. Didn't really get a good idea on if they were with that group. They believe they are Iranian, if I remember correctly, that these missiles were. And as far as these 1,000 peoples, as Samantha said, yes, sleeper cells. That's kind of what they're talking about, and not sure what country, not sure what group or organization that they're working with. Is it Hezbollah? Is it Taliban? Is it, don't know, but they're ready. And, there has been a lot of chatter on this year. There's going to be massive terror attacks. And we saw it, January 1st, we had two, I guess we could call them terrorist attacks, right? So, is that related to this? I don't know. Is it a precursor of what's to come this year? I hope not. I hope we can go out and figure out what the heck's going on and take care of it. But, yeah, what's your thoughts on that, Jesse? And no, I don't think Donald Trump's wife is a clone. I just don't believe that. And I know the guy who said that. I think Mason is a clone, but not Donald Trump's wife.
I'm looking at arrest right now by ICE because the other day I had seen that they had arrested 460 people that were considered dangerous when Trump had right after he took office till today. But now I'm looking on their website and they have a map of, so I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to share the screen. Hold up. Window. Shit.
To the windows, to the walls.
All right. Can you see it? So it has all the different areas. You can't see it?
No, don't see it.
Okay.
Come on, man. You said you had this figured out. There it is. There it is.
So if you look at these areas in America, look at this. So Dallas, 48,060. And this is over time. Okay. Chicago's jurisdiction, It's what it says. It says 33,000. And you get over to by New York and all that, you're at 28,427, 31,229. But isn't it amazing how these little blue strips, not much, but then we get to New York and those areas, and isn't it funny how some of these are swing states? Like you got Wisconsin up here. I imagine that's a pretty big area, but it doesn't. And then you get Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
right? 10,000. That's quite a bit. But then all the liberal places, not very.
Well, other throw out California, but if you look at where the mass numbers are, it's where your population centers are, right? It's where the bigger population is.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, but there was a whole deal going on that Biden and them were shipping people to swing states
Yeah.
and working really hard to get them the right to vote. Now, I'm going to back out of this. Stop. There we go. But, there was a video that had popped up. This guy from Haiti, he had killed 17 people, and they're videotaping him while they're arresting him. And he's bragging about killing these people. And then he thanks Biden and Obama and says, I want to thank them for giving me the opportunity to change my life. You murdered 17 people and you're not even a citizen. Why are you here?
Right. Well, I think that,
Why isn't I?
I think they're spread out, and I think that's more than likely, those yellower regions of the U.S. Those are probably the places that they need to look harder for them. And let's go back to what little story. And if you want to go there, I mean, it's up to you.
But before we go on to that, I just found the spot. Right now, since Trump took office, they've arrested 1,000 high-value targets and removed them. So,
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, when they say high-value targets, they're talking about people who are dangerous.
Right. So let's kind of go back to the story. And again, if you don't want to talk about it, I 100% understand. But you just tell that story about what was going on in Arkansas
With
with the people out in other people's land and
so I had a buddy who he trained dogs, professional security dogs, and he had contacts in the FBI.
Hey, move that mic closer to you again. You're cutting out just a little bit.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's way better.
Okay. I had a buddy who trained dogs professionally. I actually got a dog from him, security protection dogs. He had contacts in the FBI and people that had bought dogs from him. Well, one of the guys had messaged him and said there was barren land that they had been surveilling. And the funny thing about it is they didn't own the land. And it was all Middle Eastern people. They were setting up generators, lights out there. And he said there was over 1,000 people on this land, and they've been surveilling them, but they haven't done anything about it. One, because it's pretty hard to arrest 1,000 guys who may have weapons. And it was just this big kibosh. He started messaging all of us and letting us know that, hey, this is what was told to me. And I don't think we're getting the whole story from the government now. I think there's a lot more people in this country than they're putting out. Obviously, they don't want to cause mass arrest. So he was telling them, this is 50 miles from where you're located south. And that wasn't the only time. There was times in Tennessee that he would know somebody that, hey, this is what's going on over here. I think there's a lot more people located in this country all over than what we're being told.
And they wouldn't go out and mess with them, right? Like the police wouldn't mess with them.
Well, you got to think in like a small area like Arkansas, like the FBI, the ATF, together, they only have 3,500 agents. Okay. If there's 1,000 people on this land who may have weapons, how do you obtain them? You got to send in the Guard.
Right.
And then here's the problem with that. When the National Guard gets pushed to do something like that, the people want answers. And then that's when it starts becoming national news. And then now you got people all over the country like, what's going on? And is this happening near me?
Well, maybe they should do that.
Well,
I mean, it sounds like your governor put a kibosh on China coming in and trying to seize up all the farmland around there too, right?
Yeah, they kicked them. So this happened under the Biden administration. Arkansas's governor said, fuck that. And Eminently Domain took their land and it was a seed company, plus all the land around it, they were buying it. The Eminent Domain took it, basically told them to go fuck themselves, and then they auctioned the land off.
So, and I know we talked about this a little bit with the land that China was buying up around this seed company and stuff. It sounded like they were trying to obtain some of the seeds to re-engineer it,
yep.
or to manipulate the I guess if they were growing beans, manipulate those beans on China's land to cross-pollinate and mess with. I've heard a lot of this kind of stuff where manipulation of seeds, and I don't know if you've heard this one, but they talked about possibly working on getting seeds to where, you buy this bag of seeds, you grow your vegetable, let's say it's tomatoes. And what you can do now, right, you take a tomato, you scrape those seeds out of that tomato you harvest, you plant those seeds. They're working on making strains of plants where those seeds won't grow.
Well, okay, so before we move into that, so that seed company they owned, they had kids going to Arkansas State from China and the agriculture sector and bringing some of that information. Plus, they would work for other seed companies and take some of their engineering back to that seed company, and they would be shipping all that information off to China. And people are like, why does that matter? Why do you care? Well, the problem with it is imagine if they figure out the way to cross-pollinate and kill off some of our farm product.
Right.
What happens when crops across the country just start dying?
Yep, and they won't grow. And, I guess people don't really think about that, and they think, oh, we're crazy, right? But look what Roundup Ready beans are, right?
Yep.
They genetically altered beans to be resistant to Roundup. These scientists can do crazy stuff with these plants, and they can go in there and there's been movies out there that talk about as we genetically alter all this stuff, and I'm going to give an example here in a second. Genetically alter all this stuff, and eventually it dies out, and it's done. You can't grow that plant anymore. It won't grow. And here's an example, and you can look this up. Bananas. Bananas are dying. And we could live to see where there's no more bananas in the world. So there is a fungus that grows that's killing these bananas. And because we genetically alters bananas to be big and edible, like if you look what a banana really used to look like, they were tiny, they were green, they didn't taste all that good. And we cross-pollinated, done all this stuff, and we have bananas that we have now. Well, because we've done that, they are not resistant to this fungus. and it grows in the root system, and they're dying all over, and they're trying to figure out a way to do it. And the last I heard was it was like 15, 20 years, we could be without bananas on this
Okay,
planet.
broccoli as a vegetable is a man-made vegetable.
Yeah. Have you ever seen what a broccoli looks like?
Yeah.
Like the true. I mean, they're little tiny little goofy things. There's a lot of fruits and vegetables that we eat today. That isn't what they look like, man. I mean, they're totally different.
Yeah. Mason said in the chat, what are your thoughts on seed oil and red 40, which we already talked about. But
Yeah, we did. We can bring it up. You know, the red 40, they're supposedly getting rid of that. I think there was a 2-year plan to get rid of it, and it might be 3. But that's bad. That stuff causes cancer in mice. Therefore, it's probably got to cause cancer in people as well. And the seed oil, same thing. I mean, dude, seed oils are not good for you. They really aren't. You know, you buy seed oil to cook with, you're better off using lard or something of that nature. Yep. Yep, tallow. And even a little bit of olive oil is okay. The problem with olive oil, and this is what seed oil is bad too, is when it hits a certain temperature, that's when it becomes bad for your body. So, like olive oil, most people didn't cook with olive oil. It was more like they use it like butter, like dipping their bread in or to add to a salad or something like that. But yeah, it wasn't meant initially to cook with.
no, and that's stuff that's all illegal in Europe. We're the only country that allows people to put that in our food. What's that? Why can't they send dono? You said that.
I think they want to send money.
No, I don't think they do. No, but what I'm saying with that is, back to what Mason said, is that shit's all legal in other countries. And we went into the topic of big pharma. We're in a capitalistic society. Big pharma is the 8th largest, eighth largest market in America. So if I can get you sick, diabetes, cancer, whatever, and make you go see a doctor, they put you on drugs, big pharma profits off that.
Yeah.
Like a motherfucker.
You got to move that mic back. Every time you move it away, you cut out, man.
Okay, so did you catch anything of what I said?
I did, but it just cuts out.
Okay, well, let me fix it here. All right.
You just got to put it right in front of your face.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, that sounds great when it's right there.
Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it better than it was?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we're going to leave it right there.
But yeah, the pharma needs to be fixed. And I don't know how it's so big. So, you know, FDA, I guess what I would like to see, in my humble opinion, they need to separate the food and drug. You know, food needs to be food, drug needs to be drug. And it's like too big. They're covering too much stuff for one organization to, I guess, approve, disprove, and all that stuff. But do you guys think celebrities have clones? And Jesse replied, yes, I do.
Yes, I do. They do it all the time in other countries, like with world leaders, right? Like if a world leader gets sick, have you ever noticed, like President Putin, when he was not...
Like, he was going to die, right? Remember that?
But when they had like a press release, the cameras would be like super far back. You could barely see him. And the dude doesn't look like him. Like, kind of does, but not really.
I don't know. I mean, I saw him on this horse once.
They altered it. Yeah.
Without his shirt, and he just, I mean, dude's ripped.
Dude, that shit's Photoshop. That dude's like fucking 70 years old. No way.
Hey, he was in the what was the Russian Secret Service or CIA? What was it called?
The KGB.
KGB. He was like the big KGB guy
Yeah,
back in the day.
that's how he came to power.
Right, right. He knew a lot of stuff and killed a lot of people and became the. Is he the president of Russia? Is that what he's considered, or what is he?
Say that again.
Is he the president of Russia, or
He's
what? What?
He says he's the president. He's a
Okay.
dictator. Every
Yeah.
election they've ever had since he's been in power, his opposing opponent has been murdered or he's
Right.
died of a
Well,
heart attack.
he's in prison. How many people is that dude in prison? Like a
Oh
lot.
fuck!
Oh, yep. And they send him in the gulag, up in Siberia, and they're.
One thing I will say, his leadership policies are good. Other than the chopping people's heads off that disagree with him, but who do you say Cooper is forced to fumble?
There you go. Yeah, they're watching some football, I think.
Okay. But President Putin, other than murdering people that disagrees with him, I mean, he's been sanctioned like a motherfucker, but his economy's still solid.
It is, and I don't know if you've seen some of the videos. Really, the people over there, their lives are pretty similar to ours. I mean, it's not like it used to be where they're in lines to get food and things of that nature. I think most of the country's pretty happy, they're pretty prosperous. And again, it's like anything, right? You get the news of your country, you don't get much news elsewhere, right? So you get all this propaganda, you don't know the truths, and we're no different. I mean, we get told what they want us to hear.
Yeah.
We do. So, you got to take things, I guess, half a grain of salt, right? And I don't know how you go out and fact check, the news, what's going on in Ukraine and in Russia, because that would be almost nearly impossible to do. But to think that we're getting 100% the truth of everything that happens, yeah, I don't buy that.
I don't think we do either. But with that being said, you could tell in the elections with Trump how biased the fucking media is. And if you took clips of every news station playing at the same time, they say the exact same shit. Like,
Yep. And that reminds me, I want to play this little clip here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play something here. So that kind of got me into this. And we're going to go there. All right.
To know you more clearly, to love you more dearly, and to follow you more nearly each day.
To love thee more dearly, to see thee more clearly, to follow thee more nearly, day by day. By day. Amen.
Amen.
So did you get what that was from?
yeah.
So that was Jimmy Carter's funeral, and they basically took it word for word from Meet the Fockers.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that?
Oh,
What the hell is that?
So Kamala's speech was Barack Obama's speech back in 2008. She took his speech and just read it off.
Hey, I got to do it again because they said they couldn't see the screen, and that was my bad. You probably couldn't see it either, could you?
I know with Twitch we're delayed just a little bit. So
Right, but I think I got to go back to here.
Because on my screen with what I'm looking at, I can see it.
You were able to see it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So you can see this, right?
I can, and I can see it on my phone. So
Just to know you more clearly, to love you more dearly, and to follow you more nearly each day.
To love thee more dearly, to see thee more clearly, to follow thee more nearly, day by day. By day. Amen.
Amen.
yeah, they fucking took it word for word. But
Right, right. So I know one of the questions was, before we jump, is there anything else you want to talk about any of this stuff?
well, Olivia said that she actually took Hillary Clinton's speech. My bad. But
Okay.
I know she copied it from somebody else, but that's fine. No, not really. We can move on.
So one of the questions was it top 5 Mandela effects? I think is what it was.
I don't know.
You know, we haven't really done much on the Mandela effects. Yeah, top 5 Mandela effects. So, oh boy, there's a lot of them. And God, I should have wrote one down. I had one that I feel was a Mandela effect that I didn't know if anybody knew, but can I remember what the hell it is? I can't. But all right, so well, let's stop here for a second. I don't know if Samantha's still on, and how many other people are on, but just to give a little
We got 5.
overview. Well, it's probably all the people who's been on, but what we do, we're just a conspiracy channel. We do podcasts, talk about conspiracies. This is our first real live stream, so we're going to be all over the board here, and we're going to just talk about stuff. And in these live streams, what we'd like to have is some interaction with you guys and kind of go over what you guys want to talk about. And that's kind of what we're doing here. So, you know, we'll come in, we'll try to have a topic or, you know, 2, 3, 4 that we can talk about, and then just see where this thing goes. One of the other things that we want to do, we're going to start doing some on locations at a place called Inside Golf in Ames, Iowa, and probably do it on some Saturday nights starting at 7 Central, and we'll see how long it goes. Give some people a chance to see what Inside Golf is. Interview one of the guys that runs it, part owner of the place, show you around. Hopefully get some people that are there and, you know, maybe interview some people, talk some conspiracies with them, and again, interact with you people live streaming this and just kind of go from there. So that's kind of what we want to do here. And what we also want to do on this is, you know, take this video and, you know, put it out on a podcast for everybody to watch and grow this channel. So, so again, right now we're on Twitch, and, you know, as I believe he twitched at birth. And then as Olivia has been saying, hey, please follow, and whatever it is on Twitch, I don't know how Twitch works. So, do what you need to do. So we appreciate it.
But no,
give us a few of your Mandela effects, Jesse.
Fruit of the Loom.
Big ones. Fruit of the Loom.
Remember how it used to have the basket in the back? Yeah, they don't now. And they said they never have.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if there was a basket, and I just don't know if I remember.
Fuck that. I'm going to look it up. Here, I'll show you. Tell me.
Well, I know I've seen the pictures. I just don't remember.
All right, so go to fucking images. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Here, hold up. Share screen. All right. That's what they're saying has always been there. Don't you remember the basket? See, that's the whole Mandela effect that everybody's talking about. So this is what they said they've always had. Bullshit. I remember the basket. Tell me you don't remember the basket.
I just don't know. I don't know which one I remember. I could probably tell myself both ways. I could convince myself both ways.
Ah, you're fucking around.
No, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm really not.
Bullshit.
I will tell you, though, that the whole term Mandela effect comes from people believing that Mandela died in the 80s. And 80s or 90s, I don't remember which one. I am one of those people. I truly remember him dying.
I'm going to die
in
on
prison.
that hill with the basket. Fuck. I don't care what anybody says. There's a fucking basket. I bet if, dude, I wish I could find some old underwear when I was a kid and pop them up. They had a basket.
Well, you need to find that.
Well, I don't have them anymore.
You would prove it. And
prove it.
And the thing is, the Mandela effect leads us into some, topic that we've talked about before, and I'm not going to go there quite yet because I want to come up with some Mandela effects. But one of the ones that I find is crazy, I remember the basket. You probably had to throw them away, Jesse.
No shit.
Yeah, they had some skid marks in them, so you'll never find those again.
I don't care what anybody says. Everyone shit themselves at least once.
I'd say probably more than once. I mean, I was a baby.
All right. So are we moving on to the CERN?
Well, that's where we're going to go, but I want to throw out a Mandela effect, which is, it's a Queen song. And it is We Are the Champions, the song We Are the Champions. I remember the end of the song where he says, of the world.
Yeah.
I remember that. Where, we are the champions of the world. I remember that. But that's not how it goes. It's not how it goes.
What's he say at the end?
Nothing. He just says we are the champions.
Nah, that's bullshit. I remember of the world.
And they say it's never been that way.
Who says
never been that way? That's the way it is. Go pull the song. Okay. Sing Mike. Sings Mike. So supposedly the reason why there's Mandela effects is because of things that have happened at CERN.
Yeah.
So they've created alternate universes, realities, whatever you want to call it. They've created those things with the experiments that they've done there. And that their goal the entire time was to create a portal to let something in, right? And we can sit here and debate what that something is. Is it demonic? Alien? We don't know. But that's supposedly what this was.
Okay. Well, going off of that, I'm going to pull the screen one more time. All right. So look at CERN's motto or their
logo.
Yeah, logo. 3 6s. And then, where was the other one?
And 3 backward 6s, too.
Yeah, and then CERN's statue. That's fucked up. And by the way, that's the goddess of death, isn't it?
Death or war. I can't remember.
Yeah. And I can't remember. There's a page that they talk about that, but we don't have to get into that right now. But you can research it if you would like. But that's the goddess of death right out front of CERN, and that looks like a portal behind her.
Right. And they're looking to create some sort of portal, right? supposedly.
Mason said, "Are
And,
those actually 9s?"
yeah, Mason, I would say something, but I'm not gonna.
Oh,
I think Mason wants a piece of me.
is he on you? Hey, get him,
Yeah,
Mason. Fire him up in the chat.
Mason's scared of me.
I don't think he is.
He is. He only calls me when he's drunk.
It's because of the hats, is what he says.
He's a cloney.
Ooh.
Right.
Ooh.
Right.
Lost.
That's okay, Mason. I still love you, brother. But there's always next year.
With CERN, though, have you ever seen the rituals that they do before they fire it up?
The crazy rituals that they do there. And they claim that they're doing it on purpose to make people freak out about what they do.
We make Wallace happy.
All right, I don't know why that popped up here. Hold up. All right, I'm going to pull it up.
Hey, before we go into this, because we're talking about a topic that kind of needs a little intro, so I'm just going to play this because of it.
Okay. All right.
Do you have it yet?
No. I can't hear anything.
Oh, you can't hear anything?
No. Share the screen. Oh, that's Caleb. C. Marker. I thought that was you in the chat.
No, that's not me.
Fuck, I always forget.
No one heard the Science Guy music?
Yeah, we have, but
Okay.
I can't hear it.
You can't hear what?
What you just played.
You couldn't hear the Bill Nye the Science Guy?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, 1 second. I'm going to show the ritual. We're going to go into CERN's little ritual here. Can you see it?
Yep.
So this is outside of CERN. And they're acting like they're sacrificing this chick. And there's all these dudes in black robes.
Wow, that's from Indiana Jones there.
Wow, it's the footage is real. But yeah, I don't know, man. When you're doing shit like that outside of the building before you fire that shit up, that's sketchy to me.
Right.
And why would you do that just to piss people off? Don't they have a PR rep, public relations? Probably shouldn't do that.
Agreed. But they're doing it for a reason, though.
I think so.
Here, I gotta see if you can hear this.
I can't hear shit.
What the hell? All right. It's okay. I can hear it.
Mason
You
said
can't hear it.
no. Share your screen.
Yeah, but it's got nothing to do with my screen.
Uh-oh.
Totally different thing.
He said share your screen again. Hit it again. Just share your screen and do it.
I can't share my screen. It's my sound effects.
Oh. Well, I don't know.
No one knows.
Yeah. Well, do you want to keep moving into CERN, or what are we doing here?
Well, we can keep moving into CERN. So I don't know where you want to go into CERN. I do know,
It caused earthquakes, didn't it?
I don't know if they.
saying?
I don't know if they proved that it did. I know there was a lot of concern that did. I've heard that it's open portals, but I don't know if that any of that footage is legit or if it's fake.
Do you still have that video of when they're running CERN and they point the camera to the sky?
Let me check here.
Because that was kind of fucked up.
Yeah, and again, I don't know. I don't know if that was real, if it was fake. I gotta find that.
All right. Well.
Let me see here.
Yeah, I can't find it.
All right, I've got something here. I don't know if this is going to show what we want, but we will find out here. 1 second. Share my screen. And here we go.
Dealing with radionuclear research. But it is more than that because there are lots of physicians. I know some. They're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from coming in and out. It's physicists from the CERN who told me this.
They've testified to beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes, they have apparently in the bottom of the CERN this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions. They say there are 17 different dimensions of reality. That's what those physicists say. Some others say there are more dimensions. You know, they had a being, they did not tell me more, who came that doesn't resemble a human. And then they had another one, and they have a proof because they left a scarf. They left a scarf. And now, when you look at what is going on in the CERN, there is a fight from some of the military agencies, intel. They say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time. I'm just saying that because as a scientist, you cannot not say something so important. Actually, CERN is dealing with radionuclear research. But it is more than that because there are lots of physicians. I know some. They're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out. It's physicists from the CERN who told me this.
They've testified to beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes, they have apparently in the bottom of the CERN this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions. They say there are 17 different dimensions of reality. That's what those physicists say. Some others say there are more dimensions. You know, they had a being, they did not tell me more, who came that doesn't resemble a human. And then they had another one, and they have a proof because they left a scarf. They left a scarf. And now, when you look at what is going on in the CERN, there is a fight from some of the military agencies, intel. They say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time. I'm just saying that because as a scientist, you cannot not say something so important. Actually, CERN is dealing with...
So I got one other one here I want to share. And I think this is the one that that you were talking about, Jesse.
With the sky.
Yeah. I've got to close my tab, though. All right.
Check out this wild video from Geneva in Switzerland. On December 29th, 2023. No coincidence, I'm sure, that that's the same location that CERN's particle accelerator's at. It looks like they are opening portals again. I'm sure the boosted community will just claim it's a thunderstorm. It's called weather. What do you think? Just some natural weather phenomenon? Or does it seem like CERN is up to it again? To me, it definitely looks like those parasites are out playing God again. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, if that video is legit or not. I have no idea.
Yeah, that looks like a tornado to me. Fuck 'em.
All right, what do we got? All right, so yeah, the the aliens at the mall in Florida, that was last year. I don't know. I haven't heard any more about that, really.
No, but what was it? There was a witness testimony to that, and that got silenced pretty quick. That lady that was gonna be on an interview about it, and then she decided to recant her statement.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's that?
She was gonna go on and talk about it, and it was what 2 days later she recants her statement and said that she wasn't feeling well that day, and she thought she was just seeing stuff.
Well, here's what I don't understand about that whole thing. So things were happening fast, right? There was all this stuff that was coming out, and it was daily, and there's multiple things coming out every day, some new stuff, and then, like you said, people would recant what they said and things of that nature. But what I don't understand is if the majority of it was bullshit, what kind of effort would it take for all these people to go, oh, dude, what we need to do is say it was aliens. And then we'll get this cop who was a legit cop, and we'll get him to call in and say this bullshit thing. And then we'll get his daughter to say stuff and then have her take it back. And then we'll have all these other people make this video, and they're going to do it in a matter of hours and send all this bullshit out, and it's all fake, right? And you got all these people who don't know each other, or maybe they do. How do you organize something like that?
That's just a lot of
if it's fake.
That's just a lot of steps for it to fall in place like that. It's just a lot. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying for you to organize all that and then have the drone footage of all those police cars. Why would you need all these police cars for just a domestic disturbance?
Right. And supposedly it was just a bunch of kids screwing around, vandalizing things, And if I remember right, it was upwards of 12 kids. I mean, it wasn't like it was 100 kids. It wasn't very many kids. If that's really what it was, why did they need 50 to 70 cop cars surrounding this mall?
Yeah, I don't know, but
to deal with that.
The thing that got me was the lady camera footage. The one that was gonna speak on that interview, that was her phone. But there's a being that's like 16 foot tall. And obviously, when you're hyped up on adrenaline, you're fucking shaking. The camera footage kind of sucked, but this being's walking through a parking lot. Do you remember that footage?
Yep.
And then it was 2 days later, she comes out and says that she might have been hallucinating. She didn't feel good. She was sick. Brother, I've been sick a lot, and I don't hallucinate.
Well, then her hallucination was transported to other people then too. So it must have been contagious.
Well, because how many people came out and said they saw the same thing and described it exactly like her camera footage?
Quite a few. There was quite a few people. And then, there was multiple camera views from different locations where they were catching something that wasn't right. And then you had all these other people, and whether or not they're experts, that I don't know. But they're out there analyzing this footage, saying, "Hey, look, based on this thing had to be X tall, right?" Then you had reports, just eyewitness reports from people that were saying that like some portal type thing opened up like in the court.
Yeah.
And these things came out of it. And I remember there was a video of that as well, of some sort of portal opening up. But again, this was days, maybe even a week later. So that could have been faked. You know, they had time to do it. But I'm just talking about things that were within a day of this event happening. There was a lot of stuff coming out.
Yeah, and the day before that, they operated CERN. Remember? Because we talked about that. Because they unveiled that they were going to operate CERN on this date. The next day, all this crazy shit happens at the mall. I don't remember how many witnesses came out. They didn't talk much about it. They just described the being just like that lady's camera footage. And why would you need 60 police cars? I mean, if it's 12 kids just fucking around, 3 cop cars maybe.
Right.
I mean,
and there wasn't, if I remember correctly, I don't think there was any, when it was all done and said, no one had guns. There was no, no one was shot. There wasn't anything of that nature. So again, why do you need all those people there, all those cops, for something simple?
That I don't know.
And where did all those cops come from? Helicopter. Yeah, it just seems strange to me for, a handful of kids screwing around.
I mean, I get it. If we're in Story City and Bryce was the guy on duty, yeah, he'd probably call all that shit for 12 kids. But this is Florida.
Do you remember watching the footage of all the people running? Like, they were running, they were in fear for their lives. They were in fear.
Mason said facts. So, yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. But anyways, there were people scattering out of the place. I mean, the footage was hundreds and hundreds of people just bailing out of the area.
Right.
For 12 kids just spray painting shit, probably not going to happen.
Well, and again, if I remember correctly, I think there were some fireworks involved. They had some fireworks. But I'm just saying, I mean, so maybe some people thought there was gunfire or something like that, but come on.
If I see a kid lighting a firework off and I'm trying to shop with my family, I'm going to go over and take the firework from him and smack him. I'm not going to fucking run out of there like all hell broke loose.
Well, here's one thing I will say. So I don't know how many, businesses and stuff there was around there. But of all those businesses, that there would have been quite a few that had cameras.
Yeah.
And if it was exactly what they said it was, there would have been footage proving that it was just a bunch of kids out there jacking.
And why would they hide it?
That's what I'm saying.
With all this commotion, if I owned a business and there was all these people freaking the fuck out, I'd release the camera footage.
There would be a ton of footage saying it was just these kids. Here it is. Here's the footage. Nothing to see here. Go about your day. I have not seen any of that stuff come out. I've seen nothing showing what they claim. And in today's society, in our world, with the technology that we have, you should not take word without video proof.
Yeah, but I think it was hush-hush.
I do too. And there was something, and I'm trying to go back because this has been so long. This was like a year ago, right? This was January 7th of 2024 that this happened. Am I right? I think it was.
I don't remember, but
yeah, I think it was in January. Yeah. So if I recall, there was something else that happened about that time, other than CERN, there was another UFO thing that happened. Do you remember that?
Around that time, that was when Brazil was taking off with all those people saying that.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. And we were trying to see if they were somehow tied together.
Yeah. I remember when we were researching that, they had people in Brazil had live footage of shit roaming around. And, I mean, not just in the sky, but like 20 feet above them, zipping past them. One lady said that she had half her skin on her face cut off. Remember that?
Right. Yeah, and was it Brazil or was it?
It was Brazil.
Was it Brazil? Okay.
And it was a small villa right off the ocean. Remember
Yeah,
that?
and they were on like hoverboards, right?
That's what they said.
Right.
The video footage that we put on the video, to me, it looked like it was a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't there.
But we did watch the dude went over there and actually investigated himself.
Yeah.
And that's when we kind of started getting in the NFDTs because, there was stuff that a certain guy that I'm not going to name, he wouldn't go and investigate, but boy, he had all the answers. And the other guy actually went over there and started investigating stuff.
Yeah, he went down. And then, of course, FNDT came out and said, oh, that's all bullshit. But he didn't want to go investigate it.
Right.
It's all bullshit without any form of research whatsoever. And I think that motherfucker's a plant. I don't give a fuck.
I do too. And I have seen now many videos on him about how, he doesn't practice what he preaches. He doesn't, he's not open-minded to things, which science should be open-minded and look for conclusions. They should run their tests, review the data, repeat it, and come up with a hypothesis and all that. And he does none of that. And just because this guy is in the public eye, he just runs his cocksucker and, says what he says, and that's truth. And because he's got a big following, people just go, oh, yeah, FNDT, he knows shit.
That dude's definitely going to sue us if this gets bigger. We talk a lot of shit about that guy.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, well, that's because we had that discussion. Because what we had a video about it when we said his whole name. It was like a week later, he comes out with a video saying that, what the fuck did he say? Remember? And we're like, oh shit.
I don't remember. I just know that, I would love to have him on and talk to him.
I don't like that motherfucker. I don't want him on.
And debate him. I just would love to debate that guy.
But he's really well spoken. I mean, he
is. And dude, and I'm not gonna say he's not. The dude's way smarter than me. I get it. But on principles and doing what you say and not do it, I've got a problem with that. He doesn't do what he says should be done. Yet we should take his word because of who he is. I just have a problem with that.
Yeah, and he's a physicist. I get it, but he always talks about these things that he's worked on. But there has been other scientists that came out and said, he says he worked with me. I didn't work with him.
Well, and he's talking about things that are not in his field. Yeah. Why would you work on shit that isn't in your field unless you're really going to go out there and try to do something just to say that you're that's where I've got.
And we're talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson, if anybody wants to know. But you know, and he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he interrupts Joe. He's rude. You know, for a guy to have you on his show that has millions and millions of followers, he's the largest podcast. For him to give you that air and you to be a fucking dick is impressive.
Well, he can do it. He can get away with it.
And he always talks on stuff, like you said, that's not his field.
Right.
It's never about space and what he's actually trained in. It's always
dude, I get it. I mean, he's just got a podcast and he's doing what we're doing, right? I mean, he's just talking about issues and he's giving his opinion, but he really needs to sit there and go, "This is my opinion."
Yeah,
instead of
this fact.
This is fact. This is how it is. And if you don't get it, you're a dumbass. I mean, come on. Why would anybody think this way? But you know, that's just what he is.
Other than that, you know, and he came out about the alien bodies they dug up in Peru.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't 24 hours after that. And he's never been there. He's never talked to anybody down there.
Never looked at him. Never studied him.
Looked at him.
Never
tested. He comes on and he says, "That's bullshit." Because why would they look so similar to us?
Right.
That was his factual evidence.
That was it.
They just look too much like us. Okay, I mean, you have a wolf and a dog.
Two different species.
And they're in the same family, but they're not directly related.
Right.
How can you come out and not go to Peru, not look at the bodies, not talk to the experts, and say it's all bullshit? That's wrong.
Because he can. Because he's got this great big platform, and he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, but even I think Sean said something about that. It came up in conversation. He said, you shouldn't listen to anybody that hasn't been there and hasn't worked with it.
Right. It's true. And again, you know, I have not seen much updates on those. So I don't know where things are at. Maybe I could start investigating that some more. But that's another story that just kind of died. I mean, it just went away and no one's talked about it. So, you know, who's to know? But I can tell you that these things have been going on, these bodies that we're talking about, they've been being investigated for almost 6 years now. I mean, this isn't something that just happened last year. No, this is something it's been ongoing for quite a while.
Yeah.
And if they were legitimately fakes, I gotta think they wouldn't still be talking about these and trying to present them as something legit.
And other countries wouldn't send assets, resources of that caliber down there to work on this if they didn't think that there was any viability to it at all.
And again, these scientists that were there, they're not claiming that they're extraterrestrial. They're just saying they're not fakes. Yeah. We don't know what they are. We need to figure it out. That's all they're claiming. And they're raising their hand saying, we need more experts with better equipment. We need people to help us with this because we're limited on what we can do. We need guys with the hookup like Neil to help with that. And
he's the expert.
So there you go. But I don't know, Jesse. We've been on here for, gosh, how long have we been on? A couple hours now, haven't we? Or an hour and a half?
Hour and 38, which I think is probably good enough.
Yeah, I do too. Good first go. We can take this, put this on our podcast, and again, we've got our email. For you guys, if you want any sort of, I guess, things for us to maybe look at and do, shoot us an email. It's Shock the Nation 2023 at outlook.com is our email.
Spaces, cap.
No spaces. It's just Shock the Nation 2023 at outlook.com.
Okay, and we can put that in the chat too before we dip out of here. Chad, go ahead and hit that in the chat.
I'm going to do that right now. There it is.
All right, man. Well, it's been a good one.
Yeah, and I thought it went well. Love some feedback on this again, and we'll see you next time on Shock the Nation.
All right, man.
You gotta do it. You can't not hit that.